A few years ago, I went on vacation to Arizona. I have some friends there, and they invited me out there. And I've never been to Grand Canyon before. So one day, I went with one fella, and we did some hiking about halfway down the Grand Canyon, and came back up. And I also brought everything that I needed to do Mass. So I had a little Mass kit in the car and my vestments. And so the goal was to find a place alongside the rim of the canyon, because he had a nice camera with him, and to do Mass and to take pictures of it as well. So we found this perfect place, really, that you can hardly see off of the road. And it seemed like, that this rock was like a perfect altar. You had to kind of maneuver yourself to get on it, but once you did, you can lay everything you could, for Mass. Then the issue was, if you walked a couple feet to your right, it went straight down into the canyon. If you walk a couple feet to your left, straight down into the canyon. But it was sturdy right in the middle there. So that was good for me. So moms tend to worry at times, especially when sons do things like that. So I told my mom, yeah, don't worry, I took precautions. I didn't wear the cincture, the rope, just out of concern if I stepped on it, I'll fall in the canyon. So I think that helped her. And so I did the Mass there. Do you want to see a picture? Okay, if you insist. So that's the sunset. The sun's going down there. And yes, I'm wearing sneakers, okay? So, it was like a perfect altar there. And that's what I'm receiving, I think, body of Christ, the blood of Christ. There's also another picture. Deacon, you can come down here. And so that's when I'm holding the chalice up after the consecration. So I offered the Mass for all those who died in the Grand Canyon, that area over the years. The Lord knows them, so I offered the Mass for repose of their souls. It was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing experience. And God of wonders, His creation. What's the most amazing thing about these pictures? Grand Canyon? Grand Canyon was nice. God, good job in the Grand Canyon. But what's even more amazing is that God, who created the Grand Canyon, became so small that He could fit in that little chalice, and become the host as well. That God could become so small. They took on our humanity, but not just that. He becomes so small for us in a few moments that we can receive Him into our own bodies, that we can be nourished by Him as bread, the living bread. We receive Him no longer just bread, but His body and blood, soul and divinity. That is the most amazing thing about those pictures. We hear in the gospel Jesus going deeper into what He's teaching. This is the culmination of John 6, the culmination of these weeks. They've been concentrated on this. And it says, the Jews quarreled among themselves, saying, how can this man give us his flesh to eat? We're not cannibals. We're not supposed to do that. The Lord specifically prohibits that in the Old Testament. Think of this. If Jesus was just being symbolic, then they would have realized that, right? They would not have been arguing, saying, how can this man give us his flesh to eat? They're starting to get it now. To eat his flesh? How's that going to... How can we do that? So what does He say? Well, I just mean spiritually, symbolically. You get some grace from me. No, He's specific. Several times, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink His blood, you do not have life within you. He uses, in the Gospel of John, in the original language, in Greek, the verb ethio is used to eat. That's the regular verb to eat, ethio. Use that 4 times at least there. But then He shifts at the end, the last time He says eat, to the verb trogo, which is how they would describe how animals eat, to chew, or to gnaw. This is kind of crude, but that's what Jesus said. He wanted to get the point across that, hey, this isn't just spiritual. I'm not just talking about some nice spiritual thing here. This is eat my flesh, drink my blood. Really, in reality. Now some would say, well, Jesus, he's not being literal here. But he is. Remember, there are other points in Scripture in which, remember Nicodemus? He said, well, how can a man be born again? How can he enter into his mother's womb again? How can he do that? And Jesus said, I'm not being that literal, being spiritual here, to be born again. So he did qualify before, but this time he goes deeper. It's literal. But the only way we can believe this is to have a faith of a child. You know, especially in second grade when kids receive First Holy Communion for the first time, and they believe it. They believe what we are teaching them because they believe that God is trustworthy. They believe us. And they have that living faith. But when we get a little older, sometimes we start to doubt, right? We start to overthink it. How can this be? It's flesh and blood. And so people start to lose faith. And they stop coming. How can this be? The only way we can believe in this is to be simple. To be like a child. As we hear in the first reading from Proverbs. Wisdom has spread the table, the altar, dressed her meat, mixed her wine, called, let whoever is simple turn in here. The one who lacks understanding, she says, come eat of my food, drink of the wine I have mixed, forsake foolishness that you may advance in the way of understanding. The only way that we're going to become wise is to recognize that we're not truly wise, that we don't have all the answers. We don't have it all together. When we admit that, then we grow in wisdom. When we believe that God can do all things, even turn bread and wine into his body and blood, his actual body and blood still tastes like bread, still tastes like wine, but he can do whatever he wants. If we believe that like a child, then that's true faith. If we don't become too sophisticated, too refined, embarrassed by, or uncomfortable how to explain this to someone, how are other people going to come to believe in our faith? Only if we try to live it. We're all sinners. We're not going to do it perfectly. But only if they see that, wow, they're making an effort there. They're still believing. In spite of these crosses, in spite of these things that are happening, they make the effort every Sunday or Saturday night to go to Mass. That's impressive. Can we make that commitment that everything surrounds that? Our social life, our entertainment, sports, family, friends. Can everything surround that? Mass first, and then we do these other things. We want to have that great love of Jesus. We can't go a week without receiving him, hearing him in his word. We may be called to witness to this to other people. First of all, by our lives, but maybe a conversation. Just imagine a conversation happened with somebody, maybe happened before. A family member or a friend or somebody who doesn't really understand what we teach on the Eucharist. It was the first time they're really hearing it. May go something like this. They say to us, well, so at Mass you receive bread and wine, communion, right? You call that. And so what is that? Well, we believe that's Jesus. Oh, so when you receive the bread and wine, that you believe that's Jesus, so you're getting some grace from Jesus, right? Well, actually, it's more than that. We believe that when the priest says the words over the bread and wine from the beginning, from Last Supper and early Christianity up till now, that bread and wine become the body and blood of Jesus Christ. And so, in essence, we are receiving his flesh and blood. We are eating the body of God. and there's a pause. Could be a pause. Then the next thing could be, so how about those Cubs? Because we want to change to something that really doesn't mean much. I mean, Cubs have been doing great. Good job. 15-1, I guess, since the last 16. So we want to talk about that. Let's talk about the Cubs. Let's talk about something fun, something not really controversial, not really strange, But people need to know what we believe. People need to know it. Now, they may not get it yet, but it's only through our example, through our faith. So you actually believe that? Well, yes. Yes, I believe that. If you talk to people, so what do you do on Sunday? On Sunday morning, get up, go to Mass, we eat God, and then we go on with the rest of the day. What do? Well, we watch the Cubs and reruns. Okay, but you don't eat God? No. Okay, well, we eat God in the morning. It's funny how we say that, but that's in reality, that's happening. But we know that people don't totally understand that, or it's too much for them. But it doesn't make it not true. The Lord wants us to have living faith, to believe in Him, to have the faith of a child. Now that Greek that I mentioned, ethio and trogo, there's also a Greek word for, in the Our Father, give us this day our daily bread. So in the original Greek there, it was, the closest word we can come to is super substantial bread. It's not just bread. It's something different. There's a different word. The closest thing we can say is super substantial bread, but that doesn't really flow, right, when we say the Our Father. So that's why it's translated, give us this day our daily bread. But there's something different about this bread. Now, before I become too impressed with my Greek, I did have to take ancient Greek in seminary. We had to take a semester. The professor said, as long as you try, then I'll pass you. Okay, good. So I passed. That's how I passed, ancient Greek. And I just looked it up yesterday. Okay, so that's how I was able to pronounce those words. Not sure if that's the correct pronunciation, but I say it with confidence. That's the key. But that's true. What I said was true about the original Greek. We have to have that living faith to realize that there's something more to this than what we see. As we heard in the opening prayer, Lord, show us that there's more to what we just see. There are two things I would like us to do, especially in connection with the World Meeting of Families that's happening in Philadelphia with Pope Francis around September 25th. I talked about it last week, how first we want to make a commitment as a family. Every week, every Sunday or Saturday night, which Mass are we normally going to go to? What's the normal Mass? Things happen, we may have to change our schedules, but what's the normal Mass in which we go to every week? That's the norm, so we're not thinking about it, It's just, we go to Mass, we go to this Mass. After that, can we do adoration as a family? Come to adore Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament in the Side Chapel during the week. We have adoration that goes all the way from Sunday night until Saturday morning. Now, you may be thinking, it's hard enough for us to get together on Sunday, Father. Now you're asking us during the week. Okay. So maybe it's not totally possible yet. Maybe it is. Maybe you just have representatives from the family to come and do adoration on behalf of the family for that week. Or maybe you're not there yet, be like, okay, I'd like to do that, but I don't think we can. Can you come for 10 minutes? 10 minutes during the week. Just say hi to Jesus. Just spend some time with Him. Thank Him for the blessings for the week or some help they need or interceding for a family member. Can we do that? Because we get so caught up in stuff during the week that sometimes we forget about Him, right? Myself included, I guess we're caught up in activities. That's why we have to slow down and pray, have those time of prayer. Can we do that for 10 minutes? Can we, when we're passing on 34 or 47, when we realize that we're crossing St. Pat's about that time, can we make the sign of the cross in respect of Jesus, God Himself, here in the Blessed Sacrament? It's these type of things that will remind us that God is with us. God is with us. Lord, help us to regain that childlike faith again, to realize all the wonders you have done for us. Thank you for the wonders of the Grand Canyon, for wonders of your creation. Most of all, thank you for the wonder of becoming so small for us in the Eucharist that we can be nourished by you, by your body and blood, soul and divinity in the Eucharist.